what you might regret when you die? Most of us don't spend a lot of time thinking about death. Some people do, but most of us just go through life thinking, that we're doing the best we can, and that's all we need to worry about. But recently a friend of mine, shout out to Charlie Caldwell, told me to read the book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bonnie Ware. And I listened to the audiobook, and I was amazed at these different regrets. I mean, and listening to, if you're going to read it, I actually suggest listening to it because Bonnie does such a great job of reading the book, and you can hear the emotion in her voice. But it really brought up for me the fact that I might get to the end of my life and have regrets and not be able to do much about them. And I don't want that to happen. So I started thinking really deeply about this topic and what I could do to not have those regrets, at least not the most common ones. So I'm going to run through them quickly. I suggest you read my blog post where I go into this in much more depth. There's a related blog post over at ninaamir.com if you're watching this on YouTube. And read there, my really kind of deep thoughts on this, because I spent quite a bit of time thinking about the regrets and how I could avoid them and how I was set up to have them, even worse. So the first regret of the dying is I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Well, this one hit home. Actually, they all hit home, but this one hit home because I've looked at how I actually have lived my life in the last, let's say, 15 years. And it is not the life that I expected to have. It's a life that I have allowed to be created by my desire to kind of be in sync with my husband, to help me connect with my husband. It's a life that's been dictated by the feeling of pressure to earn money. It's a life created by others dictating how I express myself. And that's not the life that I want. That's not the life, a life that's true to me. A life that's true to me is one where I'm expressing myself creatively in all the ways that I set out to do, which was related to spirituality and personal development. A lot of what you see here on my YouTube station and on my blog at ninaamir.com. It was not as much about writing and publishing. Yes, I set out to be a writer, but I didn't plan to write about writing and publishing and blogging. It's a life where I really believed and still believe that if I just am of service, if I give and contribute in the ways that I know how, primarily through my writing, but also through speaking and coaching and training, that the money will come, that it isn't that I need to stress about it. And yeah, I just see how I've allowed life, I was going to say life took me in a different direction, but I've allowed life to take me in a different direction. And I've allowed myself to be swayed by others. And rather than staying true to my nature, true to my core, true to my beliefs, my values, my goals, my dreams. So that is something that I'm working on changing. And you'll see it in my videos, you'll see it in my blog posts, that I am going deeper and I am really trying to express myself in a different way and to recreate that life that I always wanted to have. The second regret is I wish I hadn't worked so much. And here again, I never thought of myself as a workaholic. I never saw myself as working a ton until about 10, 15 years ago, when due to some issues in my marriage and some things that happened, I actually had gone off away from my writing and did a whole bunch of stuff in the horse world. I was riding instead of writing, and I was training horses and giving lessons and saving race horses and doing all kinds of things like that, which I just adored, but it didn't work out. I ended up with some debt, with a dead horse, all kinds of things that were not good that I'm not going to go into right here. But when that was over, I just threw myself into the writing again. And not only that, into making a living from my writing, to really earning money. But I realized that I needed to do more than just write, and so I began to build a business around my books and around my ideas, which was fine. But some of this was because of the pressure I felt to earn more money. My husband works very long and hard. It was easy for me to fall into workaholism in order to make our marriage work and to feel like I was making money, or at least attempting to. And I ended up working all the time. And I'm now trying to break myself of that habit and work less and do more that brings me joy and to experience life. Because when you're just at your desk working all the time, you don't experience life. So I'm really working hard now to get away from my desk, to not feel so stressed about getting work done. Not that I don't work, I do. I work pretty much every day. But on the weekends, you'll find me not at my desk. There are days when I'm away from my desk for many hours, and I'm not working late into the night anymore. So I'm working very hard to not have the regret of wishing I hadn't worked so much. Also, the third regret of the dying is I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. And, I always think of myself as someone who expresses their feelings a lot. I'm very outspoken, and I cry easily. And yet I have discovered that in the last 10, 15 years or more, maybe 20, 25 years, I have not been expressing my feelings. There were some issues, again, in my marriage that caused me to shut down, to not feel like it was safe to speak about how I felt. There were situations with my family, not just my immediate family, but not my kids and my husband, but also with my sisters and my mother, even with some friends, where I just didn't express myself, didn't express my feelings. And I realized how that fed into this life of being untrue to myself. And so I've recently started sharing those feelings through counseling, family couples counseling. My husband and I have shared a lot. I've expressed a lot of feelings that I was afraid to express. I now express them at home too. I recently told my sisters what I thought of their behavior and how it affected me. Just the other day told someone it wasn't okay for them to show up 2 hours late to my house for something and canceled their invitation. So I'm developing courage to express my feelings, because when you don't express your feelings, you are basically bottling them up, shoving them under the rug. They come out in ways that you don't want, and you can't be happy. If you're keeping it all bottled up inside, you can't be happy. So I don't want to have that regret, and I'm working really hard on expressing my feelings and doing it in a better way than sometimes I do. Sometimes I just blurt it all out and don't think it through, but I'd rather make it messy and say what I have to say and try to fix it later than not say it at all anymore. So there you have it. The fourth regret is I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. So this is something I've been thinking about for about 2 years now, actually, without realizing it was a regret of the dying. And I realized that I left Atlanta about, it's almost 20 years ago now or more, 22. And I left behind my best friends. And I have friends in other places too where I've lived, but these were really my best friends. And I kept telling them I want to get back in touch. And I've visited 2 or 3 times, but in the course of 20 years or so, that's not a lot. So I said, I want to be in touch. I want us to have a regular Zoom meeting or Skype meeting. And I put that in place this year. And we've already had 3 meetings, and we're trying to meet every month. And, it's amazing to just be in touch with them. The other day, a friend of mine from college reached out to me about something, and we ended up having a long, long chat on Facebook. And now we're planning to get together and Skype and stay in touch. I don't want to regret not having friends at my bedside when the end comes, smiling at me, holding my hand, telling me they love me. And so I'm working on that, and I'm working also on creating new friendships. So that was a big one for me, was to stay in touch with friends. I really don't want to regret that, and I feel like I have not done a good job of staying in touch with friends. The fifth and final top regret of the dying, according to Bonnie Ware, is I wish I'd let myself be happier. So this one hits home too for me, because I really feel like there's so many I spend so much of my time thinking about, how I wish it was, what I should do, what I'm not doing, the chatter in my head is the constant cacophony of things that aren't okay and that make me unhappy. And I realize I need to be in the moment. I need to allow myself to be present, grateful, happy for what I have right now. And I can see over the history of my life that I did not allow myself to be happy. I think actually, my mother once said to me, "You were never a happy child." I think when my father died at the age of when I was 7, I think that affected me really deeply, and it was not something that I was given help with until many years later. And I think I spent a lot of my years not as happy as I could have been. And what a shame, because that's not a way to live your life. You want to live your life happy. You want to live it fully, and you can't live it fully when you're not happy. And I teach this, how to live, to live fully. But I see that I also need to work on this, to be happier. And every day I write down a word, joyful, and I try to live into that word. And I don't always succeed, but I'm doing better all the time. So those are the top 5 regrets of the dying, according to Bonnie Ware. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so much. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I'd let myself be happier. I want you to think about them, journal about them, talk about them with your friends and loved ones. Find a way not to have these same regrets when the end comes. I know that's kind of a heavy topic for today, but it's going to help you achieve more inspired results. It really will. And it's going to help you live more fully. It's going to help you get from where you are now to where you really want to go. And so at the end of your life, you're going to say, I did it. I lived fully. I was who I wanted to be. I had friends. I expressed myself. I enjoyed life. I'm Nina Amir. I'm the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I help people get from that moment of inspiration when the light bulb goes on all the way to the moment of realization of that dream or goal. I do that primarily through high performance coaching, personal development work, helping you get out of your own way. I also work with a lot of writers. If I can help you in any way, or you think you might like to work with me, go on over to ninaamir.com/free session. Sign up for a free certified high performance coaching strategy session or discovery session. We'll spend an hour or more together talking about where you are and where you want to go, where you'd like to be, and how to get there. We can see if we're a good fit to work together. If you're a writer or an author and a blogger, you need help in those realms, please feel free to reach me also through ninaamir.com. I'd be happy to work with you, talk about your projects, see what we can do together. Okay, that's it for today. As always, until next time, go out there and achieve more inspired results.